Welcome to our channel. We are Z Stitches. We do patches and embroidery designs on Etsy, as well as some digitizing videos here on YouTube and Patreon. Our Patreon is patreon.com/Z Stitches right there on the screen. We do have some public stuffs there, as well as some patron exclusive stuffs. All right, so for today, we're going to be making some palettes of similar type patches. That way they can run together as a group instead of running individually, which takes forever, especially on my machine, which does not have auto trim and can only take one color at a time. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the file that you have, you save it under a different name. This one's going to be Lesbian Multipack, just that way I don't accidentally save over the original design. And the next thing we want to do is that we want to get rid of these trim commands because we don't need them. It doesn't really matter for my machine anyway, and they're just going to get in the way. And once that has stopped loading, I can actually press the right button and show you which button you're supposed to press. So you go into Ink Stitch, Troubleshoot, Remove Embroidery Settings, Remove Commands. You don't need the other ones. We're just removing the trim commands. Okay. So then we'll go and we need to create, we need to do the document properties first. We want it to be at 5x7, which is the size of the hoop it's going to be going on the machine on. That's just done through document properties, very simple. Just adjust the first one so that way it's nice and centered at the top where I want it to be. Then I'm going to create a new layer for the first extra here. Copy the entire design and then make sure to lock all the rest of the layers except for the extra layers, which is where our new designs are going to go. And just paste and moving over. The adjustment does take some time. If you want to try to get perfect, keep in mind that if they are too close, they could run or pull into each other, and that would make this completely moot. So make sure to give them a little bit of space in between. And I am being a perfectionist, so be sure that you are putting them in the correct line there, or else it will not work. Okay. Decided I wanted to do these vertically because I was already running a set of patches, and there was just enough space for them to run up and down. So get as many as you can onto one palette, whatever size palette you have. In my case, it ends up being, I believe, 5 that can fit going straight down. Okay, all 5 of them. Really can't squeeze another one in there. So the next thing is to start putting the layers together. In other words, you're going to want each line that matches to run together to save time. Lock those up, open up the extras again, and start grabbing lines. Most of the time it's easiest to do the outline first, especially if the outline was running last. So you just go over to layer, move selection to layer, and we're going to do circle because that's our borders. And you can see right there, now all the borders are gone. That means they're all in the same layer together. Next one up is these top lines, and we're going to do just the same thing. Select all of them, holding down Shift together, and move selection to layer, line, top line, essentially line 1. You always check by hiding it to make sure they're all together. Check the next one. It is the next one. Okay. Then again, holding Shift, going down, going to select that next line, and layer, move selection to layer, and this is line 2. Once you've got it in there, make sure to hide the layer, check and make sure it all got in there. And we're just going to repeat this step for every single one of the 7 lines. Again, holding down Shift in order to be able to select multiple, layer, move selections to layer, line 3. Now for this last line, because it's all that's left, we are just going to hold down the mouse button and select it all, move it all to its last layer. Very, very simple. Always want to double check, make sure everything's in its proper place. And then extras can now go because we don't need that. Okay, so now everything should be running together. So we're going to make sure we save. Always make sure you save. And then we need to troubleshoot it. We need to see if there's anything that's going to stop it from being able to be exported as an embroidery file type. Alrighty, so we've got a couple issues. Take a look at it. With the troubleshoot layer, you're going to want to lock it. And I like to make it a little bit more see-through, just so it doesn't get in the way of what it's trying to show me. So most of these are going to be probably border crosses itself, which happens, especially if you're trying to like copy and paste. Sometimes it can seem to happen almost randomly with a dot that you either just put down or was already there or whatever. But a lot of times it, for some reason, puts like a double dot there, a double node. And so you have to, if you see what I'm doing, is you take your mouse and you put 2 little nodes around the node that's essentially broken. And that way when you delete the node, it doesn't warp the entire area that you're working on. It only warps that one little section, which is not going to translate into the design on the machine. You're not really going to see that unless it's like, you know, a really big piece. Most of the time you don't need to make it a really big piece. You can just make it super small adjustments. Okay, so we're going to do this on every one that says the border crosses itself. We are going to delete that little node. Usually that makes it happy. There are other things, other steps to take depending on whether or not that works or how you want to do it, but I'm trying to just make this as simple as possible because I need to get these run. So do it again, make sure we save it, and let's go into troubleshoot again and see what else. Because a lot of times it won't give you the full troubleshoot. Sometimes it'll come back with extra. But it says it's all good, which is fantastic. So now we're going to want to start the process of exporting. I just need the PES for this set. So we're going to export it to .pes for my machine. Very simple. And you can press Control-Shift-S, which will bring up the export and allow you to pick whichever file format you would like it to be in. If your computer and machine and all that is anything like mine, this process can take a few minutes, depending. And there it goes. All right, and there you have it. We have a 5-pack of lesbian patches. Super simple, super easy. All done. Let's go ahead and take a look too. This is kind of like a rendering. You can look and see how the stitches are going to go. It's like seeing seeing it stitch out without having to actually stitch it out. Of course, it doesn't show you what exactly it's going to look like. Even in realistic view, that can be misleading. So always make sure you're running a test run of anything you designed first, especially like if you're making a palette. Hopefully you already have run the design before. Alrighty. This starts out pretty damn slow, but we're just here to see and make sure that it's going to do the thing. Now those jump threads right there that you're seeing in between, those are not going to be cut by my machine. And because I did not put the commands back on, if I was to say, give this to somebody else whose machine does trim, it still wouldn't trim. You have to manually put the commands on. But since this is just for personal use, I will not be putting that command on because I don't need it and it will make 0 difference. One issue with doing things like this on a machine that does not auto trim is that those running stitches also happen on the back with the bobbin, which can cause pulling, and it can be kind of a risk to trim the back of a pallet while it's running, so just be careful of this, especially if you have a machine like mine. So everything ran in order and together. That's going to be so much less color changing on my end. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching.